So today we are looking at a pair of headphones that have quietly built a strong reputation in the studio world. Not flashy, not hyped everywhere, but consistently showing up in recording rooms, editing setups, and home studios where accuracy actually matters. These are the kind of headphones that don't try to impress you in the first 10 seconds with exaggerated bass or overly bright treble. Instead, they try to do one thing right: give you a true picture of your audio. Right out of the box, the first thing you notice is the design. It is clean, minimal, and very functional. Nothing feels over-engineered or unnecessary. The build is mostly plastic, but not in a cheap way. It is more in a practical studio tool kind of way. Lightweight enough for long sessions, but still sturdy enough to survive daily use in a backpack or studio desk environment. The folding mechanism is actually one of the underrated parts here. These are built for portability, which is not always the case in studio headphones. You can collapse them down and throw them in a bag without worrying too much about space. That makes them useful for people who move between home setups, studios, or even travel recording sessions. Now comfort is where things get interesting. The ear cups are deep enough that most ears won't feel compressed, even after long listening sessions. The headband pressure is balanced, not too tight but still secure enough so they don't slide around. You can wear these for hours of mixing or editing without that fatigue you sometimes get from heavier studio cans. But the real story here is sound. These are tuned to be reference-style headphones, which basically means they are trying to stay honest rather than exciting. And that honesty is exactly what makes them valuable in a studio workflow. The bass is present but controlled. You are not getting that boosted low end that makes everything sound more impressive than it really is. Instead, you get a tighter, more realistic low-frequency response. That matters when you are trying to balance kick drums, bass lines, or sound design elements in a mix. The mids are where these really start to show their strength. Vocals come through clean and separated. Instruments sit in their own space instead of blending into a muddy center. If you are editing podcasts, recording vocals, or doing any kind of dialogue work, this clarity in the mid-range becomes extremely useful. The highs are detailed but not sharp. There is enough information up top to hear cymbals, textures, and subtle effects, but it avoids that harsh brightness that can make long sessions uncomfortable. It is controlled, which again points back to the idea that these are built for accuracy rather than excitement. Soundstage is fairly natural for a closed-back design. You are not getting massive open space simulation, but you do get decent instrument separation and positional awareness. For a closed-back studio headphone, it performs exactly where it should. One of the most important things to understand about these headphones is how they translate your mix. When you switch from these to speakers or other playback devices, you are less likely to get surprised. That is usually the biggest sign of a good monitoring headphone. They help you make decisions that hold up elsewhere. Isolation is solid enough for home or semi-treated environments. It will not completely block out the world, but it reduces enough noise so you can focus on details in your audio without constantly being distracted. Now there is no active noise cancellation here, no wireless features, no app ecosystem. And that is intentional. This is a wired studio tool, not a lifestyle headphone. Everything is focused on keeping the signal clean and uncolored. That also means no latency issues, which is critical if you are recording or monitoring live audio. What you hear is immediate and direct. In terms of who this is actually for, it is very clear. If you are someone who listens casually and wants heavy bass and cinematic energy, this is not your target. But if you are editing, mixing, producing music, recording vocals, or doing any kind of serious audio work, this sits in a very practical sweet spot. It is one of those headphones that does not try to become your favorite sound. It tries to show you the truth of your sound so you can make it better. And that is what makes it valuable. Not hype, not gimmicks, just a focused tool that gets the job done in a very reliable way. So if you are building a studio setup or just want a pair of headphones that will not lie to you while you are mixing, this is definitely one of the safer choices in its category.